Hello, everyone. It's the Sky Priestess. I am here to talk about the Creatrix session, which is a new session that I am offering after years and years of research, pilgrimage, extensive meditation, deeply rigorous spiritual practices. I'm finally gotten clearance to offer this work. And yes, for those of you who've noticed, I just did do a live on this, but I realized that the net couldn't quite handle the vibe and it got a little staticky. So I am redoing this here as a pre recorded version. Now, the Creatrix session is a session that allows you to connect to that most primordial experience of consciousness and spirit that we ultimately understand as the sacred feminine. And for those of you who have followed my work for years, you know that this has been a key aspect of everything that I have done. Though in recent years I have not referenced it much, and there is a reason for that. So during my Saturn return, and at that time I was called on to so very many pilgrimages and workshops around the world, I found that I was initiated spontaneously into being able to facilitate this energy for others. And I'll be honest and say I was quite surprised by it. It wasn't something that I had been expecting. Let me give you an example or two. In one workshop in Australia, we had a group of women present, and there was one woman who just would not stop talking about how terrible her life was. She was very much still in that material state of mind. So we covered her with a sheet, and I performed the facilitation. And when I perform these facilitations, a lot of environmental things happen, like thunder, like lightning, like birds suddenly appearing out of the sky and, making sounds together. That's been observed by enough people. And when I'd finished, she sat up and she was like, nothing happened, nothing happened. And all of us were sitting in shock because she looked like a completely different person. So we held up a mirror to her face and she realized she looked 20 years younger. And then she fell silent. And I am not advertising this for aesthetic reasons, but to give you an example of how direct and profound this work is. At a spiritual level, it can fundamentally alter your relationship with karma, and in fact, your larger spiritual path. And so it is not a session that I offer lightly, and it is one that comes with prerequisites, as does all of my work, but this one even more so. Effectively, when you choose to let go of the word, the form, the image of what you consider to be the feminine, you have to be in a space of complete and absolute unconditional surrender. And for a lot of people, it is terrifying. But the ones who are doing the work, when they enter that space, it'll be a very comfortable and familiar space, unless there's something else that's blocking you from reaching it, in which case we have to go a little deeper. But ultimately, this work has benefited so many, whether it was in Arizona, whether it was in Australia in a couple of places, or whether it was in Glastonbury, all of the places in which I've done this in various ways. It is work that has the capacity to burn away a lot of illusion, a lot of deception. And that is precisely what we need now. We are in a state of collective dying. But dying is the precursor to rebirth. And that is why I have named this the Creatrix section, because the Creatrix and the Destroyer are one. And there are many names that you could use. There are many traditions that talk about these experiences, but respectfully, what I have observed for years is that there is too much talk and too little surrender. When you try to codify this work into a system, into a hierarchy, into some kind of format that you have to do and you have to follow, you already forget the essence of what it is about. And you see this in patriarchal religious traditions that have tried to co-opt the feminine and indigenous entities and deities. So, in name, yes, people are doing the work of the sacred and the dark feminine. But in practice, very few actually get to that space. So, this is the work that I am offering now. And of course, my other sessions are available, but this is what calls to me as the most significant energetic focus at this time. And it is something that you have to be prepared for before you engage with it. You need to seek the blessings of your spiritual guides, your ancestors, your team, so to speak, before you engage with this, because not every path is for everybody. And that is not a judgment, it is just what it is. Some paths are compatible with others, some are not. So this is work that you have to discern through before you come to this. So, I am deeply honored, humbled, and blessed to have finally received clearance, and in a way that actually meets my standards of safety, to offer this to people who at the very least have made the effort to prepare themselves for the complete unknown. Is it safe? Yes, from an energetic perspective, you will be safe. But everything in your life can change from that point onwards. And you have to be ready for that. Because when the dark goddess or formless feminine or shadow feminine comes knocking, there are no safety rails. There is nothing that can cushion the fall if you are due for one. And that is why this experience was kept secret in mystery schools. And even there, over time, they got infected by patriarchal ideas, and rather than going for the experience, they went for power. Of course, there's a toxic matriarchy. I'm not denying that at all. But this work is something that is older than the systems that came around it. So that is what I wanted to share. And I hope those of you who are interested in this will first do the due diligence in yourselves, and will come if you are prepared for it. Now, I was thinking, should I do a live facilitation or transmission of this? And I realized, no, just speak about it with the energy of the work and people will know. And that is what I am trusting. There's no good time or bad time to do this. It's just when you are actually ready. And I do want to shout out to those of you who have been following me for 10 years and who have embraced this very fundamental and core aspect of my path as well. On Facebook, when my platform was based there, I expressed this through a page called The Dark Mother's Children. But again, because of the level of distortion I saw surrounding this work, I chose not to label it in that way for a very long time. So for those of you who want to meet the Creatrix, come along. There's going to be information in the caption and also the booking link in the comments. Take care. Very many blessings. Cha-cha for now. Bye-bye.